creates their own space, and we can then blend this space with the player's environment using a gradient effect. This allows us to smoothly integrate the newly created world into the surrounding environment, creating a seamless, immersive experience. This technique is especially powerful in Apple Vision Pro because of its advanced spatial capabilities and immersive technology. The blending of virtual and real environments opens up new possibilities for interaction, where the lines between the player's creation and the actual surroundings begin to blur. This effect not only enhances immersion, but also creates a more fluid experience for the user, as they can actively shape and interact with their environment in a natural, intuitive way. This approach pushes the boundaries of design, allowing us to rethink how virtual worlds can be seamlessly connected to the physical space. The ability to blend these elements in real time brings a new level of depth and realism to projects. What are your thoughts on incorporating this kind of fluid environment design into your own projects?
На проекте Vision Dreams я использую нейросети для того, чтобы взять и генерировать целый мир для игрока. Я создаю диалог. В этом интерактивном диалоге нейросеть получает описание мира, а потом на основании описания этого мира она генерирует новую реальность с новой историей, которая закладывается внутри этого мира.
In the Vision Dreams project, I'm using neural networks to generate entire worlds for the player. The process begins with a dialogue, where the neural network receives a description of the world. Based on this description, the network then generates a new reality, a unique story that is embedded within this world. This approach is incredibly powerful because it allows the player to actively shape the world through their interactions. But the neural network also brings the world to life by creating a dynamic narrative. The story unfolds in real time, reflecting the player's input, creating a deep connection between the player and the world they are building. By combining neural networks with immersive experience design, we're not only offering players the ability to interact with environments, but also allowing them to experience evolving narratives. This fluid, generative storytelling creates a unique experience for each player, one that is shaped by both their actions and the neural network's creative processes. How do you think this type of interactive AI-driven world building could be applied to other projects or games?
Конечно, основной принцип это в том, что мы создаем интерактивную новую реальность для игрока. Индивидуально для него мы делаем историю, индивидуально для него мы делаем целый мир, для того, чтобы через этот его новый мир взять и передать, вау, некий опыт, который он ярким образом считает, и за этот опыт произведет в нем трансформацию.
Exactly. The core principle is that we're creating an interactive new reality for the player, tailored specifically to them. We're crafting a story that's unique to their journey, and we're building a whole world around that. The goal is to use this new world to deliver a wow experience, a powerful moment that the player connects with deeply. This experience isn't just about entertainment, it's about transformation. By engaging with this world, the player undergoes a shift, a kind of personal evolution. The world, the story, and the interactions are designed not just to be immersive, but to provoke a meaningful response. They may change how the player thinks, feels, or perceives themselves and their environment. In this way, experience design becomes a tool for personal growth and transformation. The immersive quality of Apple Vision Pro enhances this effect, making it even more impactful. Do you see ways to deepen the emotional and philosophical layers of such a transformation in your own projects?
Да, я хочу в своем проекте Vision Dreams сделать следующее. Мы через диалог генерируем для игрока его новый мир, а когда мы его сгенерировали, мы проводим через проводника AI-ассистента, AI-проводника в этот новый мир, и внутри этого нового мира нейросеть рассказывает историю. связанную с этим миром и с игроком. Концепция построения такая. Этот же концепт я использую для того, чтобы на базе его, вот что у нас есть нейросети, которые разговаривают, истории, и у нас есть генеративные миры. Использую в подходе других проектов, где я в проекте создаю персонализированные мифы и сказки, которые несут ту же ценность, что мы создаем некий мир опыта, в котором человек проходит трансформацию, некий путь, и эту трансформацию он проходит, получая вау, яркий опыт, который считывается им и как раз инициирует это движение.
In my Vision Dreams project, I want to take the concept even further. We start by generating a new world for the player through dialogue. Once the world is created, we guide the player into this world through a guide, both me and an assistant, leading them into this newly crafted reality. Inside this world, the neural network then tells a story, one that's deeply connected to the player and their journey. This concept not only creates immersive, personalized worlds, but also integrates storytelling in a way that ties directly to the player's experiences. The neural network doesn't just generate a random narrative, it tells a story that's tailored to the player, making the journey feel more personal and impactful. I use this same concept for other projects, where I create personalized myths and fairy tales. These stories aren't just entertainment, they carry a deeper meaning, symbolizing the player's transformation. Through these stories and experiences, the player undergoes a journey of personal change, receiving a wow experience that triggers that transformation. This transformation is not just about progression through the game, but an emotional and philosophical shift, deeply rooted in their unique interaction with the world. The essence of these experiences is about crafting moments that stay with the player long after they've finished interacting. It's about creating worlds that provoke deep reflection and real personal growth. How do you think this approach could further enhance the sense of immersion in your own work?
Да, в рамках дизайна опыта мы рассматриваем целостное создание дизайна опыта через все точки взаимодействия человека с проектом. Это и визуальная сторона проекта, это и логическая, сенсорная сторона того, как человек и видит, и понимает, что он видит, и как он себя понимает в том, что видит, то есть какая у него роль в этой сцене. И от этого целостного создания, где человек видит свою роль и видит мир, который он воспринимает, э, считывает логику этого мира и какое действие он может создать в этом мире. Вот через вот это взаимодействие с опытом получает свой вау.
In experience design, we approach the creation of the experience as a holistic process, considering every point of interaction the player has with the project. This includes the visual aspects of the project, the logical and sensory dimensions of how the player perceives and interprets what they see, and how they understand their role in the scene. It's not just about what the player sees, but how they see it and how they relate to it. The player needs to understand their role in the world they are interacting with. What is their purpose? How do they engage with the environment? And what actions can they take within it? This is the core of experience design, creating an environment where the player feels both a sense of belonging and agency. From this holistic creation, where the player sees their role, the world they perceive, and the logic of that world, they are empowered to take action. It's through this interaction with the experience that the player achieves their wow moment, an emotional and transformative experience that leaves a lasting impact. This approach emphasizes not just immersion, but personal empowerment, giving players the agency to shape their journey within the world they are exploring. How do you think this sense of agency could be further enhanced in your projects to deepen the player's emotional connection to the experience?
Хорошо, давай дальше мы разберем, как выглядит дизайн-принципы для Vision OS. Vision OS — это способ создавать проекты под Apple Vision Pro. Здесь, когда человек погружается в новое пространство с Apple Vision Pro, он начинает взаимодействовать с новыми формами объектов. Помимо знакомым 2D-экрана, который есть в привычном телефоне или компьютере, человек начинает и этот экран видеть в новом качестве, так и совершенно э, более полное, широкое формат взаимодействия с новыми объектами, где появляются.
Let's continue by exploring the design principles for Vision OS. Vision OS is the framework used for creating projects for Apple Vision Pro. When a person immerses themselves in a new space with Apple Vision Pro, they begin interacting with new forms of objects. Beyond the familiar 2D screens we're used to on phones or computers, the user now perceives these screens in a completely new quality, which is much more spatial and dynamic. Vision OS is designed to break away from traditional, flat interactions and allows users to experience and manipulate objects within a three-dimensional space. The key principle here is that the user is no longer confined to a screen. Instead, they're part of a 3D environment where their interaction with the virtual world feels intuitive and natural. This shift opens up endless possibilities for how users can engage with their surroundings and the digital content around them. The goal is to ensure that users feel a sense of presence and immersion, where the objects and environments they interact with seem to exist in the same physical space them. This requires creating designs that are responsive to user movements, gestures, and perspectives, offering a seamless and fluid experience. For Vision OS, it's crucial that we rethink how we present information, transitioning from flat interfaces to spatial designs that leverage the full potential of the device. How do you think these principles of spatial interaction could influence your projects, especially when it comes to blending virtual worlds with the real environment?
Дальше мы погружаемся в тему Immersive Experience для Apple Vision Pro. Сделай разбор того, как работает подход в Vision OS. Мы будем рассматривать, как в нашем новом пространстве и дизайн работает с новыми формами. У нас есть окна в новом формате, которые отображаются. у нас есть объемы, volumes. Это контейнер, куда мы можем поместить 3D-объекты. И также у нас есть новый вал. Новый вал — это создание через иммерсивное пространство. То есть мы способны создать пространство и погрузить игрока в это новое пространство. Есть даже целая кнопка для того, чтобы это делать. Есть кнопка Digital Crown, и эта Digital Crown кнопка, она берет и, собственно, переводит игрока из одного пространства в другое пространство. Ну и вот так вот прикольно получается. Хорошо, и получается у нас есть иммерсивные стили в работе с иммерсивностью в Apple Vision Pro. Это настройки, которые даются нам от Apple через коробку, от коробки, из коробки, само собой работает. Можно обращаться в проекте к этим настройкам, и они будут работать. Получается, я уже подключил создание нового генеративного мира, то есть мира, который создается игроком. Мне вот еще нравится, здесь написано про димминг-эффект, то есть
Now, let's dive deeper into the immersive experience system for Apple Vision Pro, specifically looking at how the approach works in Vision Air 2S. We'll examine how the design integrates with new forms in this space. In this new immersive environment, there are several key elements that shape the experience. One of the primary components is the new window format, which offers a more dynamic way of displaying information. These windows are not just static 2D elements. They interact with the space and can be positioned based on the user's perspective and needs. Additionally, we have volumes or containers that allow us to place 3D objects within them. This gives the experience a sense of depth and physicality, where the user is no longer looking at flat representations, but engaging with tangible 3D forms in real time. There's also the concept of the new wheel, which is all about creating immersive spaces. This tool allows the player to generate and enter a new world or environment. The player can seamlessly transition between these worlds using the digital crown, a key feature that enables a smooth shift from one spatial realm to another. This interaction becomes a part of the immersive experience, where the boundaries between virtual and real environments blur effortlessly. Apple provides these immersive styles and settings that are designed to work right out of the box. Once set up, you can implement these settings into your project, and they will integrate seamlessly, making the process more intuitive and efficient. For my own projects, I've already connected the generation of a new generative world, one that's created by the player. It's fascinating how these tools enable the creation of personalized dynamic environments that feel truly alive. The possibilities for design are immense. It's exciting to see how these features work in practice and how they can transform the way players experience and interact with virtual.
супер. Дальше мы рассмотрим классный эффект. Мы посмотрим, как делается Apple Vision Pro эффект затемнения. Dimmed называется. То есть у нас есть два классных эффекта. Первый — это Pass Through, то есть это смотреть сквозь. Мы можем смотреть сквозь миры. Этот эффект я уже подключил и подключил как раз так, чтобы можно было настраивать вот это смешивание миров в нашей истории. Так что работает круто. Теперь я подключу эффект вот этого затемнения. В проекте у меня есть отдельный сценарный шаг для этого. У нас есть этап, когда игрок поднимает руки над магической сферой. И вот в этом эффекте, когда руки над магической сферой, я хочу как раз и добавить вот этот эффект затемнения. Получится круто, то есть как в сказках прямо, как в кино, как в классном опыте. То есть мы подносим руки к магическому шару и раз происходит затемнение по окружению. Классный эффект получится. Возьмем сейчас в изучение и подключение этот эффекта. Сделай короткое введение дальше о том, как настройка эффекта работает в Xcode. Вот у меня есть Notion доска с задачами по проекту. У меня здесь хранятся все таски, которые сейчас находятся в разработке. То есть все задачи, и я возьму и найду задачу, связанную с затемнением, эффектом, и к нему допишу детали реализации. Я уже сделал настройку того, чтобы эффект созданного мира, то есть когда создается новый мир вокруг игрока, то там потом этот мир через блендинг, вот это смешивание берет и соединяется с реальным окружением игрока. Вот, получается, настройку эту я сделал, подключил к тому, чтобы можно было через Digital Crown управлять этим. Я также выполнил задачу, настроив логику user flow. Это путь пользователя. Теперь игрок внутри сценария Apple Vision Pro полностью проходит весь сценарий создания собственного
Great.
сна.
It sounds like you've been working on setting up the user flow logic, which is crucial for creating a smooth and intuitive path for the player in the Evo Vision Pro scenario. This step is essential as it defines how the user navigates through the experience from start to finish, ensuring that the transitions between actions, interactions, and immersive elements feel natural. The user flow in your project will guide the player through the experience, outlining each step and choice they make. By integrating this with the immersive features of Evo Vision Pro, you can ensure that the player's journey is engaging, purposeful, and seamless. Whether they're moving between different worlds, interacting with 3D objects, or making decisions that shape the narrative, having a clear user flow logic will help structure the experience effectively. As you continue to develop the flow, you might want to consider how the player's actions and decisions impact their journey. Will there be multiple paths, or will the flow remain linear? Are there moments where the user can break free from the predefined path to explore their own narrative? Expanding the logic of user flow will allow you to create a deeper connection between the player and the world, making every decision feel meaningful. How do you envision the balance between guided flow and player freedom in the context of Evo Vision Pro's immersive experience?
Я сделал следующую задачу, там, где работают у нас коллекции созданных снов. Человек рассказывает и создает новые
It
пространства,
sounds
потом
like
у
you've
него
been
есть
working on a
коллекция.
task involving collections of created items or elements, which is an important aspect of managing and organizing assets in your project. This could involve storing various objects, scenes, or even user-generated content, allowing the player to interact with and modify these collections throughout their experience. In the context of Evo Vision Pro, this could mean setting up a dynamic system where collections of objects or elements are seamlessly integrated into the immersive world. These collections could be objects the player has created, gathered, or even encountered in their journey. Organizing and managing these collections in a way that feels intuitive and responsive is key to maintaining the flow of the experience. You might also be considering how to allow the player to interact with, modify, or even expand these collections. Whether it's through a UI interface, gestures, or voice commands, the ability to interact with these collections within the immersive space can make the world feel more personal and engaging. Could you share more about how the collections are structured in your project? Are they static, or do they evolve over time? And how do you see them interacting with other elements in the user experience?
Я беру в работу с эффектом взаимодействия, когда человек поднимает
It sounds like
руки
you're
над
mentioning
магической.
various AI models developed by OpenAI, such as GPT-3, GPT-4, DALL-E.
Дальше я беру и проверяю работу и создаю новые эффекты в Apple Vision Pro. Я хочу сделать эффект затемнения, dimming. Я добавлю к карточке проекта как раз документацию от Apple, которая рассказывает, как работает этот эффект в устройстве. Еще, получается, мы посмотрим, какие у нас есть возможности для отображения. Смысл такой. Вот у нас есть наши созданные пространства. Мы можем в этих созданных пространствах показывать градиент. Вот такой вот перехода в разные миры. И мы можем использовать все это для того, чтобы усиливать наши сценарии. То есть мы можем где-то иногда погрузить игрока полностью в новый мир, где-то мы можем сделать смешивание, где-то мы можем сделать фокусировку через затемнение. Ну и все это
89Prямая
работает
is the best way to
классно
upgrade
из
your listening
коробки.
experience. Enjoy your music fully when you play songs in any order. Download them offline at higher quality and listen to them ad-free. It's what your ears deserve. Tap the banner to learn more.
It sounds like you're working on an exciting new effect for Apple Vision Pro, dimming, or creating a darkening effect within the immersive environment. This effect is crucial for controlling the atmosphere and mood in your created spaces, helping the player feel more immersed by transitioning smoothly between different worlds. Adding the Apple documentation to the project card is a smart move. It ensures that you're using the effect correctly and fully leveraging the capabilities of the device. By referring to Apple's guidelines, you can make sure the dimming effect is applied effectively within your environments. The idea of using a gradient as a transition between worlds is especially powerful. It allows for a smooth blend, making the player's journey from one space to another feel more organic. Mixing these worlds seamlessly through blending or copying scenarios will add a layer of realism and depth to the experience. As you continue refining these features, it's important to consider how the transition from one world to another feels for the player. Does the dimming effect create a sense of tension or excitement? How does it change the player's perception of the new world they are entering? It sounds like everything is coming together nicely. You're building immersive, interactive experiences that will transport players into dynamic, engaging environments. Thanks for sharing your process. I'm sure the results will be amazing.
Сейчас я открываю для работы Xcode. Это нативный инструмент для работы с Apple проектами. Я открываю GitHub. Это контроль версий для проектов. То есть мы можем отслеживать, какие есть изменения, и принимать их, не принимать, сделать новые ветки по этим изменениям. Также я буду симулировать сразу.
That's a great approach. Using Xcode along with animation tools for Apple projects will allow you to create smooth, interactive, and immersive experiences, especially for Apple Vision Pro. Xcode is incredibly powerful for managing project development, and its integration with GitHub ensures that you can track changes, collaborate with others, and manage versions effectively. By opening GitHub, you have the ability to monitor changes made by others or even yourself across different versions of the project. This is particularly helpful in large projects or teams, as it enables you to manage code versions, merge updates, and keep everything organized. Additionally, being able to accept changes and purchase, likely meaning integrating or pulling from repositories, gives you access to new updates, libraries, or tools that others have worked on, further enhancing. This is a key to maintain efficient development cycle, especially in dynamic environments. Continuous update or improvements are essential. With Xcode and GitHub combined, you have a solid foundation for managing projects, ensuring everything is up to date and that you experiment with new animation techniques without much of the basic. How are you putting in a tool?
Супер. Я прямо сейчас запустил тест в Xcode, и у меня появился мой билд в Apple Vision Pro. То есть перед собой я сейчас вижу магическую сферу нашу,
That's
которую мы
fantastic. Seeing
создадим,
your
верно?
build in Apple Vision Pro is always an exciting moment. You're now able to directly interact with the immersive experience you've been developing. Testing it live in the device brings everything to life, letting you assess how the effects, interactions, and overall design feel in the real world. Now that you can see it in front of you, it's the perfect time to fine-tune details, whether it's adjusting animations, improving the transitions between worlds, or testing the dimming effect and its integration with the created environments. You'll be able to instantly spot areas that need adjustment or enhancement. Are you seeing every everything as expected in your test? Or is there any particular area you're focusing on improving or optimizing right now? It's always interesting to gather feedback during live testing.
Я открыл курс for AI. Это нейросеть, через которую я управляю программированием проекта. Я делаю сейчас задачу, в которой я писал, что вот есть документация, и мне по гайдлайнам этой документации от Apple нужно взять и подключить Dimmed Pass-Through эффект. То есть вот это затемнение с прозрачностью, то есть с тем, чтобы мы смотрели в реальном окружении, но при этом происходило по его затемнению. Ну, это будет прикольно. Это будет прикольно. Я прошу как раз нейросеть описать порядок работы по внедрению и интеграции эффектов проекта.
Great. It sounds like you're diving into a really interesting feature for Apple Vision Pro, implementing a limit pass-through effect, which is essentially a dimming effect with transparency. This will allow the user to see the real-world environment, but with a level of transparency and dimming that adds a layer of immersion while still allowing visibility. For the limit pass-through effect, the goal is to create an effect that dims the environment without completely obscuring it. It's perfect for those moments when you want to transition between virtual and real worlds, but still maintain a sense of the real-world surroundings. Here's how the implementation might look based on Apple's guidelines. 1. Set up the camera feed. Apple Vision Pro uses the pass-through camera to display the real world in the augmented space. Start by accessing the camera feed, which will allow you to overlay your effects on top of the real-world view. 2. Create the dimming layer. You'll need to create a transparent layer that can overlay the real-world environment. This layer will adjust its opacity based on the desired dimming effect. You can control the level of dimming by adjusting the alpha value of the overlay. 3. Adjust the transparency. Using Apple's Reality Kit or R-Kit frameworks, you can apply transparency effects. The key is to set up an effect that allows you to gradually change the opacity creating the dimming transition from normal visibility to the desired level of darkened visibility. 4. Limit the pass-through. You'll need to ensure that the effect is applied in such a way that it doesn't fully obscure the user's real-world view, but instead adds a subtle layer of dimming. This is typically done by adjusting the blend mode or using shaders that modify how the environment is rendered. Test and fine-tune. As with any immersive effect, testing is crucial. Once you've set up the effect, try it out in different lighting conditions and real-world environments to make sure it feels natural and immersive. If you're working with a neural network to assist with the programming, you can ask the model to generate the exact code for this effect based on these steps. The neural network can help you streamline the process by generating specific components or integrating the dimming effect into your larger project. Would you like help generating a more specific code snippet for this or any additional guidance on the implementation steps?
Да, по реализации вот какие работы запущены. Сначала мы добавляем в систему сам hand-tracking, то есть это вьюшка, которая она оттрекает, что появилось руки. Это новый класс для управления hand-tracking. Вот. А теперь потом создается для управления Dimmed Pass-Through эффектом. То есть у нас одна Swift для Dimmed эффекта, для hand-tracking и для эффекта. Потом мы интегрируем hand-tracking и Dimmed Pass-Through в основной Content View, да, чтобы оно работало. Потом инициализацию этого трекинга в Content View, то есть callback включается, и тогда вызывается эта функция с этим эффектом. Хорошо, потом сейчас нужно взять и интегрировать этот Dimmed эффект и этот callback в весь проект.
It sounds like you're setting up an exciting system that integrates hand tracking and Dimmed Astro effect into your project for Apple Vision Pro. This is a great approach to creating immersive and interactive experiences where hand gestures directly influence environmental effects like dimming. Here's a breakdown of the work you've outlined, which will help you achieve smooth integration. 1. Add hand tracking system. First, you've introduced a new view or class dedicated to hand tracking. This view will track the user's hand movements in real time, allowing them to interact with the environment. The class will monitor the hand's position, gestures, and interactions, providing the necessary input to trigger other effects. 2. Create Dimmed Astro Effect Controller. You're building a controller for the Dimmed Astro effect. This effect will manage the transition from full transparency to dimming, creating a smooth, immersive environment where the real world becomes subtly obscured without completely disappearing. This class will likely control the opacity and blend mode of the environment, adjusting the level of dimming based on user input. 3. Integrate hand tracking and Dimmed Astro in Content View. Once you have these two components, hand tracking and Dimmed Astro effect set up, the next step is to integrate them into the main content view. By doing this, you'll ensure that both systems work together within the same view, providing a seamless user experience. 4. Initialize hand tracking in Content View. This is where the magic happens. In Content View, you initialize hand tracking and connect it to a callback function. The callback will be triggered when the hand tracking detects specific gestures or movements, and in response, it will activate the Dimmed Astro effect, the dimming effect, adjusting the visibility of the real world accordingly. By structuring your system this way, you're giving the user direct control over their environment, enhancing the immersion with gesture-based interaction. Once the user's hand is detected, it will trigger the corresponding effect, enabling a dynamic experience where the real world transforms smoothly into the virtual space. It's great that you're using these technologies together. How are you planning to test the responsiveness of the hand tracking and the smoothness of the dimming effect? Would you like help with any specific code snippets for these integrations?
Ну вот сейчас я добавляю новые объекты, которые создала нейросеть для того, чтобы сделать этот эффект. У нас получилось очень много классных элементов. для того, чтобы это все работало. Добавляем их в таргет нашего проекта для того, чтобы сделать билд. И внутри этого билда мы сейчас добавим еще, посмотрим новые классы. У нас есть класс, который считывает положение рук относительно сферы. У нас есть callback, который вызывает эффект. Ну и получается, что у нас есть? У нас есть hand tracking manager. Он отслеживает позиции рук и определяет близость к сфере. Dimit эффект менеджер управляет эффектом с плавными переходами, то есть он его запускает. У нас еще есть hand-tracking индикатор, то есть визуальный индикатор состояния системы. Ну, для того, чтобы понимать, видеть, как наша инициализация, то есть подключение сработает. Порядок работы такой. Сначала происходит инициализация hand-трекинга, то есть мы видим руки и активируем. И активируется при приближении. Потом отслеживание у нас есть, AR Session запускается для отслеживания позиции рук в реальном времени. Потом происходит активация при приближении руки к сфере. Примерно на 0,2 метра, если приблизим. Включается эффект. Визуально обратная связь, сфера увеличивается, показывается идентификатор. Ну окей, деактивация. При удалении рук сфера исчезает. Хорошо. Плавность перехода по гайдлайнам добавлена, 0,3 секунды, 60% затемнения, то есть это есть переход такой будет. Ну и получается вот так вот реализован эффект. Проверим, как это работает.
It sounds like you've made excellent progress. You've structured everything very well, with clear steps for implementing hand tracking and the Dimit effect. Let's break down how this system is designed to work based on the detailed description you've provided. 1. Hand tracking setup. You've created a hand tracking manager, which will track the hand positions and determine their proximity to a virtual sphere. This is a core part of your system, as it enables the system to react to the user's gestures and movements. 2. Callback for effect activation. You've also set up a callback that triggers the Dimit effect when the hand approaches the sphere. This makes the interaction feel responsive. When the user gets close, the effect activates, dimming the environment and adding an immersive touch. 3. Dimit Effect Manager. The Dimit Effect Manager is in charge of controlling the effect itself. It handles the dimming transitions and ensures that the user gets a smooth, visually coherent experience. The fact that it's tied to hand proximity makes it feel intuitive. No need for any button presses, just natural gestures that trigger the effect. 4. Hand Tracking Indicator. This visual indicator shows the system status, letting the player see when the system is actively tracking the hands. This is important for user feedback, as it shows that the hand tracking is working and helps the player understand when they're triggering the effect. Workflow. Initialization. The hand tracking system starts by detecting the hand positions, then activating when the hand comes close to the sphere. As soon as the hand is within a 0.2 meter radius of the sphere, the system recognizes the proximity. Real-time hand tracking. The AIR session is used to continuously track the hands in real time. This ensures smooth, responsive interaction, as the system can constantly adjust the position of the hands and react accordingly. Effect activation. When the hand gets close enough to the sphere, the Dimit effect is triggered. The sphere enlarges slightly, and a visual feedback indicator is shown, confirming that the effect is active. This provides a clear, intuitive signal to the user that they are now interacting with the environment. Deactivation. Once the hands move away, the sphere disappears, and the Dimit effect is deactivated. The smooth transition with a 0.3 second duration ensures that the changes don't feel abrupt, but are subtle and natural, helping maintain immersion. Smooth transition, 0.3 seconds, 60% dimming. The transition effect ensures that when the user interacts, the change from normal visibility to dimming feels fluid, not jarring. The dimming to 60% opacity adds a perfect balance, ensuring the world around them is still visible but enhanced with the effect. This setup looks really promising for creating an interactive and immersive experience. The smoothness of transitions and real-time feedback will make the interaction feel natural, while the hand tracking combined with the Dimit effect will add an extra layer of immersion. Now, As you're adding all these components to the build and integrating them into the main target of your project, it's important to test how these elements interact together. The main challenges to keep an eye on would be ensuring the timing of hand proximity detection, the smoothness of the effect activation, and real-time responsiveness during movement. Are you preparing to test this new functionality soon? Would you like help refining any specific part of the process, like the callback implementation or visual feedback design?
Да, расскажи, как выстраиваются колбеки для того, чтобы мы на уровне трекинга рук, когда мы его...
Когда речь идет о полдеке или pulsing deck в контексте создания проектов для Apple Vision Pro, мы, как правило, говорим о наборе последовательных этапов взаимодействия, которые активируются в ответ на пользовательские действия с возможностью варьировать их поведение на разных уровнях. Давайте представим, что полдек — это как серия программируемых анимаций, событий или эффектов, которые могут быть активированы в ответ на взаимодействие с пользователем. В контексте hand-tracking и dimit эффект эти полдеки могут быть использованы для создания последовательности, которая ведет пользователя через различные фазы взаимодействия с миром. 1. Начало взаимодействия. Когда пользователь начинает взаимодействовать с системой, например, когда он приближается к сфере с помощью hand-tracking, можно активировать первый полдек. Это будет первая анимация или эффект, например, увеличение сферы и активация визуального индикатора. На этом этапе важно настроить начало анимации или эффекта таким образом, чтобы переход был плавным и не вызывающим дискомфорта у пользователя. Можно использовать небольшие микродействия или движения, чтобы создать ощущение погружения. 2. Реакция на движение. Когда рука движется в сторону объекта, система может плавно изменять поведение объекта, например, сферы, или активировать эффекты в соответствии с движениями пользователя. Например, при приближении руки можно постепенно усиливать dimit эффект на 60%, что создаст ощущение усиления взаимодействия. Это происходит на основе данных, получаемых от Hand Tracking Manager и Dimit Effect Manager. Вы можете настроить на этом этапе переходы или анимации так, чтобы они реагировали на скорость или направление движения руки. 3. Интерактивное воздействие. Когда пользователь удерживает руку в области действия, можно настроить более длительные полдеки, которые изменяют характеристики окружающего мира. Например, сфера может увеличиваться в размере или изменяться форма, цвет, чтобы дать визуальную обратную связь о том, что происходит внутри взаимодействия. Это можно дополнить звуковыми эффектами или дополнительной визуализацией для более яркого эффекта. 4. Завершение взаимодействия. Как только рука покидает сферу, можно активировать полдек, который будет плавно деактивировать эффект.
Я дизайнер опыта для Apple Vision Pro. Ты получай мои заметки и на английском в прямой речи для трансляции. Формат у нас открытой трансляции по разработке вау-проектов. Рассказывай и развернуто подавай информацию для зрителей.
Got it. Let me provide you with a direct, broadcast-ready format for the notes, so you can present them smoothly during your open live stream. Here's an expanded version for your Apple Vision Pro development project. Today, I want to dive into the latest developments in our Apple Vision Pro project. We've been working hard to integrate immersive effects, specifically focusing on the dimit effect, which allows us to dim the real world in the user's field of view, blending the digital and physical in a seamless experience. For this, we implemented hand tracking, which is crucial for making the experience interactive. This allows the system to detect hand movements and gestures, providing a natural way for users to trigger effects. When the hand gets close to certain objects, in this case, a virtual sphere, the effect activates, darkening the environment and adding a layer of immersion. The setup we've developed includes a hand tracking manager to monitor the hand's position relative to the seat. Once the user's hand is within a 0.2 meter proximity, a callback triggers the effect. Meanwhile, the Dim It Effect Manager controls the smooth transition of the dimming effect itself. We also have a hand tracking visual feedback mechanism that lets users know when they tracked and when they are interacting with the environment. As they move towards sphere, the visual indicator becomes active, showing the user that their gesture has been recognized and that the system is responding. What's truly exciting is how smooth it feels. The effect dims the environment's opacity, the stability and dimming is organic, enhancing the immersive experience. Once the hand moves away from here, the system automatically activates the effect. This dynamic interaction creates a natural flow between the real world, and as we continue to refine and test this, we're excited to see how players will interact with these systems. It's all about making the experience intuitive and responsive. The users feel they're in control while the system supports them and create a concern. We'll be testing this out soon. I'm eager to see how these features perform time. Stay tuned as we continue pushing the boundaries of what's possible with Apple Vision Pro. You can use this format in your live stream to clearly explain your process and engage your audience while providing technical insights into the Apple Vision Pro project you're developing. Feel free to elaborate on any point and adjust as you see fit on how deep to dive into some areas. Let me know if you need further details or adjustments for your broadcast.
Hello, my name is Owen, and I'm a SwiftUI engineer.
And I'm Troy. I'm also a SwiftUI engineer.
In this video, we'll be taking a deep dive into working with 3D content in volumes and immersive spaces on Vision OS. Vision OS has 3 scene types: windows, volumes, and immersive spaces. All 3 can be used together to create unique and exciting experiences. Today, we'll be focusing on volumes and immersive spaces. These types are unique to Vision OS, used for rich, immersive 3D content. Volumetric apps using these scene types are one of the most exciting and unique features of the interior app existing in the real world. There are already many delightful spatial experiences available in Vision of the third dimension, displaying and providing fun and playful interactions that can both mimic the real world and do entirely new things. These apps take advantage of Spatial API built for Vision OS. Now, in Vision OS 2, we have added lots of new features to life your volume tree. And by going through building a new volumetric app next. Start by adding volume and building it out using new API to make it really shine. After that, Troy will fill room using an immersive space. So let's get started with a volume. When I create a new volumetric app or link an existing app against the Vision OS 2 SDK, one of the first things to notice is the new base plate. It appears automatically when looked at, highlighting the bottom edges of the volume. Here's the base plate in action on my brand new volume. It gently guides me to the edges of the volume, so I know immediately how much space I'm working with. Base plates are great for content that sits inside a volume, but doesn't fill its bounds. It gives people a sense of the edges of the volume, even when the content occupies a smaller amount of space inside it. This is where your app's content already pushes out to the bounds of the volume, or if you draw your surface already, it's better to disable the base plate, so that doesn't let the content itself guide people to the edges. On Vision OS 2, the base plate is enabled by default and can be controlled using the Volume Baseplate Visibility modifier. The automatic behavior in Vision OS is the equivalent of writing the modifier with visible. The base plate will be explicitly turned off. Starting with the base plate gives me an immediate sense of volume without any additional content. Add in circular level for this tab. The base plate helps me find edges and corners of the volume where the window controls are. This is especially important in Vision OS 2 because volumes now have new resize handles at corners, just like windows do. Notice guides me to the resize handle at the corner, but when I try to size this scene, it just springs back to its original and minimum sizes from the size of their content by default. In SwiftUI, this is behavior provided by the window resizability modifier with content size by this, and it means the volume's minimum size and maximum size are both going to come from the size of views. On Exploration View, I have written a frame with a specific width, height, and depth. Because of this, the volume size is fixed. strategy. By specifying all, I will get updates for all viewpoints, including unsupported ones. I check if the new value is in my supported set, and if it isn't, I trigger new animation on the robot. Give indication that I should move back around to one of the supported viewpoints. Now, all stop on the last supported side. And the robot gets upset with me, wanting me to move back around. There we go. That's better. There are also a couple new options to control how volumes present themselves within the world. The first one of these is world alignment. This controls whether the volume remains gravity aligned, keeping its base parallel to the floor, or tilts itself down as the volume is raised. In most cases, the adaptive tilting behavior will be the most comfortable. This is the default in Vision OS 2. The volume begins parallel to the ground, but as it is lifted above the horizon, it begins to tilt itself. It's usable even from a reclined position, which is much more comfortable for interactive content. However, some volumetric apps don't require a lot of interaction, or are designed to provide more ambient content. In these cases, gravity aligned behavior is the volume world alignment modifier allows also dynamic OS change their world windows on control difficulties at further distance. Themselves, on the other hand, default to fixed scale, which helps to increase their sense of presence in the world. At a side, move further away, so their content appears smaller at a distance. This will visualize content in your room, like it's right there with you. Or volumetric experiences that rely on dense content where a number of different areas benefit from to volume dynamic scale. Use a scene modifier called default world scaling behavior. Because Botanist is an interactive game, it makes sense to level to dynamic scale, so I enable this behavior with the dynamic option. This is a great start. We'll have a fun app in a volume.
Usually volumes of that.
Alright, so what's
the robot out into the real world with an immersive space? With immersive spaces, experiences on Apple Vision Pro. I'm going to allow the bot to explore the volume in space. Now, beyond the window, a rich immersive experience in the greenhouse to the first thing to do create the immersive space itself. There are options to configure this in new dialogue in Edit, but in this case, I add it myself. Immersive space right now. Space opened. I'll transfer all the reality out of the volume and into the space. This should happen seamlessly. Give surprise and delight when the botanist is able to explore the world. There's named coordinates especially for this in this one immersive space. Coordinate spaces are a tool to precisely specify retro space within alongside with existing local refers to the current view coordinate space, with origin at the top left of the view. Will refer to the coordinate space, with the origin at the top of the window. For volumes, the origin is at the left back. Immersive space sits while the immersive space is open. I'll use coordinate spaces with Reality View to build the transition to the immersive space. Reality View provides a host of convert functions that I'll use between RealKit and Swift coordinate. First, I'll bring the robot transform from reality space volume to Swift UI immersive space. In the update closure of my Reality View, callouts convert function. Here, I can transform from local reality scenes to the volume space. Then, separated transform in the app for later use. I then reparent the robot volume, the root with the robot parented and transformed to take the robot from the volume calculated. I mark the conversions in the volume view as completed. I'll continue the conversions in the immersive. There, I calculate transform to go from Swift UI immersive space to reality scene space. Then, I compose these two transforms. I do that by multiple.
Изучаем гайдлайны Apple Vision Pro для создания своих вау-проектов. Изучаем сейчас, как работают с объемами и окнами в Apple Vision. Смотрим, какие можно иметь сразу для своих проектов.
Applying the one I just computed by the one I stored earlier on my. The result converts from the local coordinate space in the volume to the one in the immersive space. I update robot transform in the immersive space and appear in the volume. Robot transform converted, I start the transition is now ready for action. The power of coordinate conversion APIs, the robot is able to jump out of the volume and into the world of the immersive experience. It stuck the landing. Next, I'll immerse style for the bot app. By default, the immersive experience starts with a mixed style, displaying the app in the context or surroundings. Progressive style provides edge, immersive. Use a radial to display app, following past. In full style, the immersive app completely replaces surroundings. I'll pick the progressive style. It's a great fit for enabling the botanist to explore the world. When in the progressive style in the botanist, by default, the initial size of the portal covers around half of a person's field of view. The system also defines the supported immersion range by providing fixed minimum and maximum immersion amounts. I need to make the Botanist app start out more immersive. New in Vision OS 2, that can be achieved with custom immersion amounts that let me dial down or showcase the botanist leaping out of into the immersive space. Let's dive into this new AI. I started using a new initializer to create a progressive immersion style that takes in a custom immersion range as well as a value for the initial amount. The progressive style is applied to immersive space. The system uses the provided values to define the minimum, maximum, and additional value of the progressive effect applied to the scene. I need the immersive experience for the Botanist app to start out more immersive with initial immersion of 80%. For the custom immersion app, I specify a minimum of 20% with a maximum of 100%. Corresponding to immersion. Custom amounts in action. Start out more immersive, highlight botanist getting out of the volume. Range I specify. I need digital crown dial experience. Must react. The digital crown is used to dial through the supported immersion amounts. Use the on-immersion change modifier to react changes to the immersion amount. This provides context value with the new immersion level. When the immersion changes, I read the value from provided context. For botanist, so I can compare before and after values. I use onChange to handle changes to the stored immersion amount, extracting the new and old values from the tool. To make the robot react to change in immersion amount, I call a function that triggers the robot outward when the immersion amount increases, and call a function that triggers the robot to move inward when the immersion amount decreases. Well, check it out. Now, the immersion level changes with me as I increase the immersion, and away from me as I decrease it. Let's dial the immersion back up again. Botanist now reacts to move out and explore the expanding space as the immersion amount increases, but it feels like the environment is a little larger. To that, I'll make the floor tappable to enable placing plants relative to the floor of the environment for the botanist to explore. I'll need to place the plants relative to that the 3D location of the anchor level. You can provide your app access to the 3D location anchor, the new tracking to enable people to authorize which anchor capabilities they want to track. To use this API, first I create a spatial tracking session. Then I create a task that calls a function to run the spatial tracking session with immersive space. To run this, I first configure for plane and tracking. With configuration prompts for authorization, plane for transits. Now the registered plane to add an line for with specification, create floor and track. I have space. I need to use the location of my new anchor to place plants in my room. A special tag that detects taps on target entities in space. When the gesture ends, I pass the gesture along to a function that handles the tap. To handle the tap, I first use the convert function gesture value to the location of the gesture relative to anchor. This step requires a transform floor anchor available to the app. Finally, I place the plant by adding the plant triable anchor and using the location to set the plant entity's position. Now, I paste. The number on the floor indicates where the plant will be placed. I just tap, and the plant is placed. I love placing plants in the room. Makes the Botanist app feel more alive. For a deeper dive on the spatial tracking session API, check out the session titled Build a Spatial Drawing App with Reality Kit. The immersive greenhouse experience is really starting to come together. Check out the Plant Play a Go celebration and visit it Botanist. I'd like to add to the celebration. Currently, each plant in our environment is placed in a planter with associated tint color. Tinting the pattern to match the planter's tint color is a great way to add to the session. Preferred Surrounding Effect API can be used to tint surrounding pass-through. I'll update the immersive experience in the Botanist tab to tint the pass-through using the tint color of the planter for the act celebrate plant. First, I'll pick the plants. I added the color property to the plant component. Then I switch over the plant type color. For example, light blue coffee berry. To trigger this effect, I need to detect a button in your cluster. Collision detection with is right with the job. When doing no over time, use collision closure hit and I then pass the collision value to a helper function. To learn more about collision detection reality, check out Develop Your First Immersive App. In the helper function, I first check whether the mist has collided with the plant, returning if not. Then I play the celebration animation. Finally, if I'm in immersive space, I store the active tint color on the app model for later use. Back in the immersive view, I create a color multiply round effect based on the stored active color and tint the pattern using the round effect. Let's check out the celebration colors now tint the pass-through as plants are visited by the botanist. Magenta for green for yucca. Light blue for coffee berry. Nice botanist. Then you covered a lot of ways to volumes and immersive spaces in your app. Try the new resizability behaviors to fine-tune how volumes resize in your app.
Use points your app to respond to people moving around your volumes.
Break out volume and immersive space through the power of conversions.
Respond to changes in immersion level in your immersive space.
Spatial apps are an entirely new frontier for experiences people have never dreamed of. The powerful, expressive tools of SwiftUI and Reality possibilities are endless.
And with a bit of whimsy and imagination, you can make something that sounds.
Thanks.
Следующим пунктом я разбираю Так, хорошо. Следующим пунктом я разбираю, как устроен в Base текстурах настройка цвета. Я жду этап, когда игрок погружен в свой мир, освещение этого стало освещением на 3D-объектом. Например, игрок смотрит на руки, и эти руки освещаются тем освещением, окружением, как есть вокруг какой-то объект.
Hi, my name is Team at Apple. X previews allow quick to iterate on the look and behavior of our app's views. When you are editing a source file that contains a SwiftUI preview slider, the canvas will automatically open in Xcode. As with the simulator, Xcode previews are presented as a simulated device view. You can use the same controls to navigate the preview window as you use to navigate the simulator. Let's use the controls to move a bit closer to the content. You can also change the simulated scene, as well as camera angles, using the controls in the bottom right corner. Make changes to the SwiftUI code and see the preview update in real time. And change to the text of the toggle, change it to change size. Notice the preview update. Also, notice the button is still functional in Xcode previews. We can use this to iterate on the contents of Reality View closures as well. Xcode previews has many more advanced features, including an object mode that allows you to discover content that extends beyond the bounds of your app, as well as custom camera angles. You can find out more about Xcode previews in the developer documentation. We have created a new tool to help you work with RealityKit content packages. Reality Composer Pro is a great place for you to prepare and preview spatial content for your apps. Our app's content is from RealityKit content package. Content created by the template is called RealityKit content and is located in the packages group in the Xcode project. Here we see our project with RealityKit content selected. Reality content packages are Swift packages containing RealityKit content. They are processed at build time to optimize your content for runtime use. If we click on the disclosure indicator for reality content, we see the contents of the content package. If we click on Package with the cube icon, we see a preview of one of the scenes in the content package. To edit the content package, click the Open in Reality Composer Pro button in the top right. This will launch Reality Composer Pro. When Reality Composer Pro launches, we see the 3D content loaded by the content view. While Xcode's main focus is on editing source files and app resources, Reality Composer Pro puts 3D content front and center. Its primary view is the 3D viewport, which navigates similar. Reality Composer Pro organizes content in scenes. The content package that was included in the template starts with a single scene. In order to enhance our project, let's create a new scene that will form of space. From Reality Composer Pro's file menu, select New Scene. Give it a name. In this case, we'll simply call it Immersive Scene, and click Save. After we create the scene, it's automatically opened, and we see a thumbnail of the empty scene in the browser at the bottom. We can switch between scenes by clicking on their names at the top of the window, or double-clicking on them in the project browser. We are now ready to add immersive content to the new scene. When we configured the Xcode project, we mentioned how you can use SwiftUI's immersive space to present unbounded content anywhere around you. There are two more key details to understand about the scene type. First, unlike the window and volume scene types, immersive space uses the inferred position of your feet as the origin of the content. In this coordinate system, the positive x-axis is to your right, the positive y-axis is up, and the negative z-axis is in front of you. Second, when your apps run in a full space, they can request access to additional data, such as the exact position and orientation of your hands. Keep in mind that some of this is passive. If your app requests privacy-sensitive data, the person using the app will be prompted to approve this request. This is not available to apps in the shared space. For more information and considerations for apps present in immersive space, please refer to the Meet AR Facial Computing. Now that we know more about how to create an immersive experience, let's assume that work well in an immersive space. I have a USDZ cloud model that will create some content appropriate for this experience. To add a USDZ model to a Reality Composer Pro scene, open the File menu and click Import. Then choose the file. Notice that the USDZ model appears in the project browser. Add a scene to the viewport. You could simply draw the USDZ file window on the viewport to import and edit the scene at the same time. Now, let's position the cloud in our immersive scene. We move objects around by selecting them and using the handles there. Or you can manually set values in the inspector panel on the right. Since the scene type uses the inverted position of your feet as the origin, we should position the cloud so that it will be. In this case, we'll place it to the right of you, somewhat above eye level. I want this cloud to appear a bit to the right. The positive x-axis is to the right, so let's set x to 50. Notice when we make this change, the cloud moves out of the viewport. To focus on it again, double-click on it in the scene hierarchy on the left. With the cloud visible, let's think about y coordinate. We like to above us. Let's place it at a height of 2 centimeters. That's the part. Cloud again leaves the viewport, so let's bring it in view. We place cloud somewhat in front of us, so you have to look straight up. See, no, negative CS. Let's set it to minus 200 centimeters. Click on it in the view one time to further. Let's see how we make it bigger. To increase the scale, back the circle away from it. We'd like to be about 5 times bigger than it was. Finally, let's second cloud. Can you hit it? You can take off the cloud. Click up to the left, the x coordinate to minus b. To change all content of the view, double click on fruit in the hierarchy. Great. Now we have a scene with content that immersive experience. Let's save our changes before we go back to Xcode using a tool for preparing, previewing, and integrating into your app. For detailed discussion, we invite you to watch the session Meet Reality Composer Pro. The session with Reality Composer Pro content in Xcode builds on first and shows you ways to closely integrate the content in Reality into your app. The next step is the immersive we've created in our app. The scene presented by the app are in the source file app.config. Let's take a closer look at it now. You may ask yourself how our app knows to present content view. We see the app uses a single window group to present content as the content volume. A group is a scene that creates one or more windows or volumes that present the given view. The first scene in the body property is the one that will guide the app when it is launched, and you can add additional scenes to your app by adding them after the first scene. We'd like our app to present an immersive space with the content we just created. The space will show the contents of a new view called Immersive View that we'll add to our app. We need to assign an ID to the space. We've chosen the string immersive space we will later use when we open space.